despite the weather trying to kill me and almost successfully killing a few other members of our party. Because East Coast problems, I guess. So we're doing something different tonight. Instead of playing the regular NWAD space campaign, Goose Master Merc is going to introduce the rest of us to a very amusing sounding storytelling game, which I have been curious about since they first mentioned it a few weeks ago, and I'm like, okay.
The game is called The Goose of Grillner Grove. It is about a small village with a horrible goose.
Do I need dice for this? I forget.
No. Well, I mean, at least one person's got to have a D12. Doesn't matter who's got one, but one person's got to have one.
Okay.
I have one here.
All right. So yeah, so I think, we'll see how this goes. I mean, and then I failed my scrounge backup player's role, so we couldn't do Demon Hunters. But that might be a backup game for future. What's really annoying is I got a really good Demon Hunters module idea as I put that out, and then we didn't have so that mod will get played someday. I also found out that Halloween is going to be a Saturday night, but while Halloween may or may not be canceled this year, so who knows? Maybe we'll plan in advance for Demon Hunters fun on that Saturday or not. We'll see.
Okay.
So Merc, how do we goose?
Okay, so this is all three of us will play as beleaguered citizens of a town. One day a visitor arrives and they don't understand the danger that the resident goose presents. As a beleaguered citizen of the town, it is our job to convey the peril of the goose to the newcomer. There are two set truths to every Goose of Grillner Grove game. One, the goose is not supernatural. It cannot speak, but it can remember. And two, the goose doesn't die in this game. So, with those two truths, chat, this is where you come in. You are both the villager who came. We are telling these stories to you to warn you about this goose. And you are also not moderators, but you keep us honest. If somebody breaks the truth of the game, if they forget the setting we chose, if they forget their role in the village, if they forget the two other truths of the game, it's your job to honk. Just typing the word honk will do. And you honk until the person who screwed up realizes this and recants, or until they pass their turn. So, at the beginning, which is now, we set the scene. We are all here in the center of town to welcome our new visitor. It is also our job to warn them because our home has been menaced by a goose for at least 20 years.
Goose Master, what was this game called again? I forgot to drop it in one more chat.
The Goose of Grillner Grove.
Thank you.
Here's the thing I've been using. I typed the thing in there. So at the beginning, we choose whether or not we're in a small modern day town, if we're on a colony in space that somehow has a goose in it, or if we're in a quaint 18th century New England village, wherever. We pick a place. And that becomes a truth. And we have to remember this truth when we're telling the stories. Then we are townsfolk. We as people are townsfolk. So we decide who we are in the town, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, whatever. And then we decide on one of the other players as our rival in the town. The petty small town feuding of snubbing each other's casseroles recipes and that kind of thing. We choose. And we have to remember that. And that's the second truth we're picking at this point that we have to remember. Plus the two original truths, or 4 whole truths. If we break any of them during our stories, either the other players or chat will honk at you until you fix your story. So, on each player's turn, they concoct a story about an experience you had with the goose based on a prompt that I have a list of here. We'll roll a d12 to figure out which prompt you get. Describe the season, what the air smelled like, the gleam in the goose's eyes. Tell us what you were feeling when you met its gaze. Don't break the game truth, otherwise the other players and chat will honk at you. On other people's turns, we listen to each character tell their story, and then build on the story and ask questions that establish the goose's nature. It is our job to ask good questions that will encourage more story. But it's not our job to say, no, that didn't happen, or to reject any part of another player's story. We are only here to improve it. So if you try and deny or reject, you will also get honked at. So yes, we'll go around twice. Each of us will tell one story, and then we'll go around again, each tell one more story. And then at the end, you, chat, get to decide whether or not you, as the person we are warning, will actually move into our little village or run away screaming. It's up to you guys. So, that being said, who's ready to play?
Okay.
I think I am.
Okay, to begin with, what is the setting of our story? It's always going to be a small town, but are we a small town in the 15th century? Are we a space a space age, new colony just dropped in the middle of the verge? Are we a modern day town, a little small, quaint English countryside village with a horrible goose problem? Are we a small town in the 1800s? Are we a small town in the Dust Bowl with just one goose left to our names during this horrible depression?
I'm very biased, but I kind of find the idea of us being a space colony really funny.
I think it was kind of entertaining too.
Yeah, we're nerds. We want to be in space. It's Space Saturday for us.
Okay. So we are a small, new colony in space. What's the planet like?
The planet is not very habitable. I don't know. So it's a bit Mars-like. So we mostly live in a dome that inside the dome it's very Earth-like and green and growy stuff, and we're doing okay there. But outside the dome, yeah, we could just be a Mars colony. Outside the dome, it is maybe the atmosphere is breathable, but it's definitely not comfy to be out there.
Okay, we'll say for the sake of argument that it's breathable. Give us more space to play with.
Yeah.
So we are colonists on Mars. Sorry.
Breathable but uncomfortable.
Yes. We are colonists on Mars, living in a small bubble, newly dropped. We've only been, in place for 20 years, and we've had, for some reason, someone brought a goose. It's been a horrible goose.
Well, we're trying to build an agricultural colony, and geese are livestock. We just maybe should have researched more what livestock we were bringing.
Or maybe we just picked a particularly evil goose.
Or maybe the goose stowed away and we just got here and went, who brought this goose?
Is this your goose? And we've been wondering for 20 years whose goose this is.
Exactly.
Yep.
Stowaway goose. Okay, we've had a stowaway goose. It's the only goose in the entire colony. But it's an evil goose. So, let's establish our characters. What is your name and position in town? Do you want to start? Who wants to start? I can start if we need be.
You start, so we know what we're going for.
Okay. I'm Willow Smith. I'm one of the town's various ag scientists, farmers with a degree, basically. I'm a farmer with a degree. I keep track of the nitrogen levels in the soil. So, crop rotation and all that's important near and dear to my heart. And I don't have pets. I don't like small animals. Mostly because the mice and rats mess with my grain. And I'll decide on rivals after you say who you are. So, we'll go on to the next person.
hello, my name is Lillian Jones. So I found out we're allowed to take notes.
Yes.
I'm more of a theoretical scientist who's done a lot of like research into farming and agriculture and physics and things like that, but practical like does not know, like can look at a tractor and know what it is, but is like what do I do? How? So she's been I've been maybe not the most effective farmer, as I'm like, oh, hands on. Oh, I thought I was just here to manage.
And you're Lillian Jones, right? Or
Lillian Jones.
okay.
So more of a pure sciences and not just agriculture, but physics and fuel management and things like that. So it's like, what do you mean I have to like work? What? What? Oh no. And you know, Goose. Okay, I know what that is in theory. I'd never met one before, and now I have, and this is terrible. Why does anyone have livestock ever? Like, what is what? Oh God. Dear God in heaven, what have we done?
Dracus, who are you?
I've had time to think and I still haven't come up with anything.
Well,
yeah,
I'm
I
inclined.
knew this was going to happen.
I'm inclined to pick Lillian Jones as my rival.
Yeah. No, you don't do it like that. You do it like this. Oh
I'm
my
a hands-on
God.
person. She's a hands-off person.
And I'm a hands-off person who assumes they know the right way to hands-on something. It's not gonna work out.
Yes. So I'll go ahead and name Lillian Jones my rival.
Okay.
Keep up the double L's in names and do Ollie, and I'm too lazy to come up with a last name
That's fine.
at the moment. I'm sorry.
What is your name? Ollie?
Ollie.
Okay.
And I am training to take over the colony's logs that we send back to Earth. So I have some dangerous control over how history is recorded.
So the town computer expert and town historian.
Yeah.
There you go. In training.
But, you know, in space.
In space.
All right. Pick your rivals.
So communications. I think my rival might be Ollie because like, oh, so they don't have to do any farming work. Why is that my job? Damn it.
Remind me what your job was, Merc.
I'm an agricultural scientist. I'm basically a farmer with a degree.
Okay. Just thinking about John Peters, you know, the farmer.
I missed that reference. Oh no, nerd fail.
It's Night Vale.
Oh, well, I need to listen to Night Vale.
I'm working to get caught up on it. One day I will be there.
Same. But I'm not actually working on catching up to it, so I'm even further behind you are. So, I mean, worst comes to worst, you can flip a coin and then figure out a reason to justify it, you know?
I think I'm gonna pick Willow to be my rival to keep the triangle going.
No, everyone hates. Oh, Willow. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's just nice.
No. Willow hates Lillian. Lillian hates Ollie. Ollie hates Willow.
Yes.
Yay! We're
It has
triumphant.
come full circle.
But we all hate the goose.
We all
Yes,
hate the goose.
Yes, we all hate the goose. Okay. So who wants to tell the story first?
Okay. So each of us tells part of a story, or like
No,
one whole anecdote.
We each tell one whole anecdote, and the die determines which prompt you get for that anecdote.
Okay. I'll go first.
Okay. Your anecdote is: I saw it in a shed sitting on a pile of mail.
Okay, and that's the prompt.
That's the prompt. That's the prompt.
So there was so presumably a nice person has come to our colony or is emailing us like, hey, I'd like to come be part of your farming initiative colony. And it was like, so yeah, it's great. We're doing great, except for this one thing, is that someone brought a goose and or it stowed away. We're not sure because no one will take responsibility for this creature's existence. So there was a problem of people not getting their mail in town. And like we do email, but then there's like paper parcels as well. Like, some things you can't email. So people were like we had records of the deliveries coming in, and they would get to the kind of central public space, and then they just disappear. And we're like, okay, we're all here. Like, is this technically illegal? But like, who would go through all that effort to steal everyone else's mail? Like, who cares? Like, what? We're a farming colony. We don't have anything like special or hypersensitive or weaponized. Like, what? So I'm, heading to the shed to fix a piece of farming equipment that broke down. Because I, of course, know the best way to do all of this because I've read all of the manuals. And at first I thought it was being helpful. Like, at first I thought that, this something in the back of the shed started honking at me, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, that's not a bird, it's too big. And I round the corner, and there it is, sitting on a pile of envelopes and boxes and padded envelopes and like poster tubes and all kinds of weird stuff. And I'm like, at first I'm like, oh, this is Lassie being helpful. I'm like, oh, that's nice. We have a helpful farm animal that is helping us find all the missing mail. But what it did next was kind of fly at me, hitting me with its wings, and it took my manual. So then I had to get that manual back before I could fix the tractor, because I hadn't done it before, actually done it, and my I don't have a photographic memory, and so then I had to start chasing this goose down around the tractor and the other farming equipment, and it kept like going between things that I was too big to follow it, and it just like
Did you actually get the manual back?
I got half the manual back.
What happened to the other half?
I'm still not sure, because in the chase, it did finally like give up its territory of that shed. And as I was trying to chase it through the fields, like I did yell at someone, "Hey, the missing mail is in there. I think this goose took it. I don't know how." But then I, had to chase down from my manual. It kept like the cover and like kind of the second half. So I did eventually get to fix that tractor with like the middle, with like the picture at the front and most of the instructions. But I got it to mostly work because I could kind of like just go from the picture and the diagram in the front, which I still had. I'm pretty sure I did it correctly. I mean, it's a tractor.
Did you really?
Well, I mean, I would chalk up any further problems to there being an insanely evil goose.
There.
Causing mayhem in our little space hamlet. And some people looked at me as I was chasing this goose down like I was crazy, and other people looked like sad but like understanding, like this is an ongoing problem that no one had warned me about before I arrived. But yeah, so I would say that this I mean, we all got our mail back. My own thing versus the goose, like I would say that it ended a tie because it did get some of what it wanted, but then I got at least some of it back. But
fair.
Unfortunately, well, I have researched a kind of a Gandercide chemical agent. It is unfortunately not something I can use in a farming area with crops. So, like, if we were chasing this goose through an urban environment where there was no vegetation or plant life to be effective, then it would be like, yeah, fumigate the fuck out of this place for geese. But so. Yeah. And
yeah.
Is that enough story?
That's plenty. Yep.
We're down to one viewer. Oh, well.
It says 3 on my computer.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Affiliate, please get people to watch us tonight because we're so close.
I think we should get people to watch us tonight because we actually need chat feedback this evening.
Yeah, we also actually need chat.
Yes, this is interactive for chat. We're here for you. All right. You or me, Drac?
I can go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Let's roll the die. And that is 8. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I saw it eat a whole pie.
Oh no. Okay. So there's one day where I was on food duty, working in the kitchen, making sure that things were, getting prepared for people to eat for meals, and we were going to have pie for dessert.
Why were you on food duty?
I imagine that's a thing that we all rotate through.
I heard kitchen patrol was a punishment, though.
Don't push your luck. Just because everyone has to take a turn at it doesn't mean that it's a punishment. It isn't necessarily the most pleasant job around, though, which is why we all share it, because no one wants to take it on full time. So it was my turn one day. And I thought maybe I'll make some pie for dessert. So I made a couple pies. I could swear I had locked the door because I don't like being disturbed while I'm in the zone working. I had the pies up on top of the stove to cool off after taking them out of the oven. And I turned around for 1 minute, just 1 minute. And suddenly there was the dreaded honking as it screamed at me from however it got in, looked me dead in the eye, and stole a pie right off the top of the stove. He proceeded to drag it into a corner and
How
just...
big was the pie?
It was like a full pie!
What kind of pie was it?
It was apple. I'm very sad that I never got to eat it because it looked amazing. It's probably the best pie I've ever made. Just dragged it into a corner and just stared at me while he ate the whole thing. And I, before he started eating it, I tried to approach and take it back, and the flapping wings and the beak
And the hissing.
and the hissing and the honking. And after it was done, it flipped the pie tin somehow right up onto its head and walked out. The proudest little bastard you ever did see.
Did it leave a mess?
Yeah.
Is that why you had food duty again the next night?
Mhm.
Is that why you had kitchen duty again the next night?
Yep.
Okay, I guess it is my turn then. Seems like a good place to stop for that one.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't have any more.
Here we go. That's 12. Okay. So, all right. So, I'm an agricultural engineer. My prompt is, it chased me out of town. So, I'm an agricultural engineer, right? I do a lot of the hard work around here. One of a couple people, there's about a dozen of us who actually till the fields as opposed to, theoretically tilling the fields. Yeah, I see you. We take in the grain, we check the soil, we keep the pests out of the grain storage. We test the outside dirt, just in case, we have a bit of downtime. And so one day I was out in the fields doing regular soil checks. It was about midway through the growing season, so we were growing modified soybeans, so fixatives this time. They're the plants are about waist height at this point. They'd grow much taller, but So I'm out there checking the dirt, making sure the soil fixing is going as well as it should, and I hear something rustle behind me in the reeds in the plants. And I look around and we have pretty decently sized space between the rows, so we can drive tractors and stuff down if we need to. But I didn't see anything, so I'm like, okay. So I turned back and started checking my soil again. Just put it in a little test thing, shaking it to test the pH, all the good stuff. Doing some.
You should do it in a clockwise motion is the best way.
Yep. Yep, that's exactly what I was doing. I already taken my samples for the heavier analysis machines back at the base, but you can do some out in the field, and that's what I was doing. And I hear it again, something rustling behind me, and I look around, and I don't see anything, and I'm like, what is going on? So I start moving towards where I heard the rustling. I poke my head through, and there's nothing on the other. I look around, there's nothing. The waist-high plants are just waving in the artificial breeze because we've discovered that still air doesn't do very well for plants, so we have to keep a breeze going, kind of. We modify it various times a day, but it's nice about living in the dome. We never turn up to hurricane. Okay, maybe once, but anyway. But nothing that could explain this rustling. So I turn around, go back to where I left off. I can tell there are left holes in the ground, and there in the dirt in front of me is a goose footprint. I know this because the little bastard keeps trying to get into the grain storage, and I'm like, no. And I know this guy. I've seen him before, so I'm on lookout now. And I lean down to take one more soil sample, and this little bastard explodes out of the brushes in front of me. I don't even know how he got around that far, but the rest was behind me. He explodes out of there, honking his head off. He's flapping my face. Oh God! And
Clever goose.
Huh?
Clever goose.
Yes, clever goose. And well, unfortunately, clever goose.
Clever girl. No.
Attacking me! I start running for the colony, And this thing is on my tail. I cannot get rid of this thing. I go through the colony, out and around. Nobody wants to get between me and the goose because they know that if they do, the goose is going to go after them next. And it's just going to be awful. I try and scrape it off on Lillian, but she was smarter than I was and ducked into the kitchen. And so I had to keep going, and like doors are being slammed in my face as other people get out of the goose's way. And finally, the only door that's left that I can put between me and the goose is the bleeding airlock to the outside of the colony. So I'm like, you know what? It sucks to be out there, but it's second worse to be in here. So I went through the airlock, and the thing hits the door behind me, shakes the airlock on its hinges. Just you can see the door trembling. And I'm like, what the heck? This is put into the very fabric of the dome of the colony. How is he shaking it this hard? And finally, the pressurization procedures finish, and suddenly I'm out on the dirt of Mars. You know, it's filthy, it's cruddy, it's a little thin, and it's also kind of cold. But heck with it, it's goose free. And I was staying there for like 2 hours until the goose finally went away. Well, at least until somebody came out and told me the goose went away. I don't actually know when the goose went away.
You didn't even have one of the suits on, or do you wear a suit while you're doing your soil analysis stuff?
Suit while I'm doing that. Those things are bulky as heck. You know, you can't hardly grab anything with the mitts on, and like, you know,
That's true.
we keep the inside of the colony nicely temperature controlled. Heck with the goose.
Is the terror that flaps in the night.
Flaps
in the day, in the afternoon.
In the afternoon, in the morning, when you're trying to sleep in a little bit. Been up all night helping a cow with a tricky calving, and then suddenly that fucker's there.
This game is so wrong, and I love it.
I kind of want there to be a second level of this game where we plot against the goose.
You don't have that.
How do we get it out?
I'm imagining in your your fields within this dome, one of those no goose signs.
They're all over the place. No goose, no goose. Until a goose steals them again.
Mm.
They do occasionally disappear. We do occasionally find them elsewhere and go, so that's where they ended up.
Yep. Okay, Miss Priscilla, your turn. Are you ready?
Yes, hit me.
Alrighty. So you got 3 this time. Number 3. I saw it attack someone.
Who hasn't it attacked?
It was just slightly aggressive. It wasn't like full on maliciously attacking. It was just like
it was ironically
chasing.
So I saw the goose attacking Willow again. This was the other time. Yeah. So this is the beginning or the end of the story. Is I saw the goose attack someone.
The theme of the story is I saw the goose attack someone.
Okay. So
wherever you want to put it, however you want to set it up, it's up to you.
Okay. So I did some research, and I emailed some livestock specialists back on Earth.
Did you talk to any ornithologists?
I think he was technically an agricultural scientist, but he had a specialty, like a double major in ornithology. And as it turns out, this is not that unusual for goose behavior, and they don't actually send them to space colonies, which further is confusing to me of how it got here, unless it is a Martian goose. So maybe we'll publish, I don't know. We'd have to prove it first, and for that we would have to find more Martian geese, and I am loath to do that. Anyway. So I basically was like, okay, well we can't gas it, we can't poison it because that'll poison us and that'll ruin our agriculture and we'll have to move. We can't just build a new dome and move there and leave the goose behind because, well, it got here presumably from Earth. I don't think that would work. And it's the one thing guaranteed mean enough to survive the wilds of Mars without a suit. So talking to the ornithologists, agricultural specialists, and a few other gamekeepers, let's say, I was able to construct a kind of trap for it, which is kind of like a big cagey box with like two kind of flip up doors, and then there's a panel in the middle, and once something steps on it, the doors close and you have it trapped in the thing. And like first, I tried, some of the soybeans, when I tried some of the, apples, because, actually it wasn't really, I maybe I shouldn't have heard the soybeans. It wasn't actually eating them. It was just using them to terrorize someone. And from what it sounds like, did it actually damage any of those soybean plants? So that's weird. It's only a pest directly to humans, not actually to our. But anyway, so I tried. I gave up my slice of apple pie that day to the trap, and I got back and the trap was empty and there was no pie. And I'm like, okay, let's try this again. I've tried heavier foods, lighter foods. I tried mail. I found a really nice manual on the not the harvester, but the thing you put the grain into and it shucks it and it separates all the grain separator. Technical term.
I think actually it is a grain
separator. The grain separator.
I mean, can you think of a better name for it?
And I almost got it with the manual. Like, I do not know if this entity can read or not, but it does like stealing mail and books and signs. But unfortunately, I had to stop trying to trap it because the morning after finding the it's like, oh, it went for the book. I didn't find it inside the trap. What happened was I was going to check it after my morning shift routine, but instead I heard like someone crying or yelling, and I'm like, is that Frank? Frank was late this morning, and he was supposed to be here to take over the watch shift. And all right, I'll go check it out. I hope he's okay. And what I find is that the goose is using the book as leverage inside of the cage. It is actually hitting him with the cage. And I'm just like I couldn't do anything because I was just like, why? How? What? It can use simple tools. It can use slightly complex than simple tools. Like, what? Is it evolving?
How is it using the manual to hit him with the cage?
It was like the cage was closed, and it was somehow like it wouldn't have been able to just grip just like a piece of the link with its beak. So it put the beak through the chain link fence, because this isn't suggestive. So it went like this and then grabbed the book the long way. So it was like this through the chain link. And from there, it had enough leverage to pick it up and kind of loosely hit someone with it. And then, of course, it sees me and realize I don't know if it knew I had set the trap. I mean, it's smart. I don't know how smart. It's using
totally knew.
It totally knew.
It remembers.
And so then it starts running after me with its flappy wings in the cage, and I ran. I'm not ashamed to say I ran. Like that thing will be the end of this colony.
I remember that day. That was a good day for me.
Laugh all you can. Like, it's learned how to use tools as weapons. It's not just flappy hiss anymore. Goose remembers, yes. Goose always remembers. And yeah, so I watched it beat the living tar out of Frank. And so the colony voted that I had to stop my my goose trapping experiments before I accidentally taught it language skills or. But I'm still emailing that ornithologist. Basically, yeah, like what other birds can use simple tools to beat humans up with? And he says that's a new one that he hasn't heard before.
I mean, if you kept it up, you might have taught it how to do theoretical stuff, and then it would stop beating people up, but only theoretically.
The Goose strikes me as one of those applications are more fun than theory types. Like,
a fair assessment of the Goose.
I'm not going to yuck someone's yum, but some scientists are just like that. And,
Bill Nye, the science guy. Bill Nye.
And then I had to do, mess hall duty for, 2 weeks straight. So, okay, so that's my story.
All right, Dracus, you ready?
Yep.
All right. And the dice says,
I'm sending your party to the Verge just so you can do battle with the Space Goose. Just so you're aware.
You got a 1, which is technically on this list. I saw it do battle with a wolf, but I don't think I saw it tangle with a wolf and live, but I don't think we have any wolves. So actually,
why wouldn't there be wolves?
We could have wolf-like dogs. People totally brought pets to the Mars colony.
Okay, I saw it tangle with a dog and live. There you go.
Yeah, it's Frank's dog.
Poor Frank. The Goose knew. The Goose remembered. It's like, I'll get you and your little dog too.
Except it's not a little dog. No, Frank's dog is massive. Could knock me over if it decided to jump on me. Generally try to stay away from the thing. I was
Is he a mean dog usually?
Not usually, but not much of a dog person. He's kind of playful, and yeah. Get the big heavy dog deciding to be playful on the person who doesn't want to be playful with the big heavy dog just results in person getting pinned to the ground.
What kind of big heavy dog is it?
I don't know. Dog breeds are a thing that goes completely over my head and knowledge.
Its breed is rescue.
It's some sort of mutt. Big dog, though. I was just, walking through our little town one day, see Frank out, see his dog down the street. I hear the Goose, and I'm like, I'm gonna go walk the other way and be thankful that I'm not doing anything dependent on
going that way.
Going that way or physical objects, since the Goose clearly has a penchant for petty theft. Not carrying anything this day. It's rather fortunate time to run into the Goose if ever there is a fortunate time. So I kind of back off and I see the Goose come out into the open, and the dog goes, "Oh, a plaything." Because of course the dog sees a goose and wants to chase the bird. So Frank's dog starts just tearing down the street. Frank looks up, does this sort of a thing because he's lost control of his dog who was just minding his own business. He was not leashed.
The dog leashed? Oh, okay.
He was leashed, but not well. And the leash just let go of the post he was tied to. So this dog is running down, dragging a leash behind him. The goose is just standing still and staring. If I were the goose, I would have run at that point. But this is the goose we're talking about. And I don't know exactly what happened. Can't really explain the visual of a dog fighting a goose, but it definitely turned from being a plaything, like just chasing the goose, to a full-on like
knockdown, drag-out fight.
Yeah, there were feathers everywhere. I would swear there was some blood, and at the end of it all, the goose is just standing there, a little ruffled, a little worse for the wear, but still just standing there. And Frank's dog, like, backs away, tail between his legs, before going and cowering behind Frank himself. And we were the only two who saw this thing. Like, if he hadn't also seen it, I wouldn't quite believe that it had happened. But I'm not messing with the goose. That dog should have killed that goose, and it did not.
We've come to a planet where nature is just wrong.
Yeah.
And we still don't know if it's our fault or not, because no one will own up to bringing the goose.
Goose is beyond explanation.
The goose is a universe.
How the goose came to Mars. All right. My turn. And the last story for this round. All right, I got 7.
Arcane asks wrong or right, and I'm like, to which statement?
Oh my god. Okay, my prompt is, it watched me commit a crime.
Oh, so now you have to admit to committing a crime.
Oh no.
Okay, it's technically a crime.
Technically.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, technical crimes are crimes. It says so in the book.
I don't know, Arcane. You'll let us know at the end of this round, right? Because you're basically deciding on whether or not we told good enough stories to convince the villager of the seriousness of the goose situation.
So is the object of the game to make the new villager run away? Or get them to stay with us? Because I'm confused. Is the point of the game to instill such terror of the goose in prospective villagers that they do not come to live with us?
The thing of the game, it just says decide together if the visitor heeded your warnings. So I'm thinking, yes, it's trying to scare the villager away.
Goose on Mars. I don't know. Goose on Mars. Oh, that's actual Dracus.
Yeah.
Geese exist beyond human limits of morality. There is only Goose.
There is only Goose.
Okay, so colony on Mars, you know. So Arcane, what's happening is that we're playing a game where we each tell stories about a horrible goose, our interactions with the horrible goose, according to some prompts. And then you, the audience, gets to decide whether or not these stories scared you away from living in our village with us or not. So,
Arcane, I'm sad you missed my story about how I accidentally taught it to use tools to beat people with. But we'll have a VOD. This we can have a VOD of.
Okay, so we're in a colony on Mars, and I'm a farmer. Okay, I'm a glorified farmer with a degree. I do all sorts. I use the fancy machines. I do the fancy planting. I make sure that the seeds and whatever are right.
But
But
then it always comes down to, oh, but my gut is telling me blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, did your gut get the degree?
but more importantly, I get paid like I'm a farmer. Okay, so there are some things that you want out of life that you can't get when you're paid like a farmer. So every now and again, I'll take my computer from one of my safe hardened computers with its VPN and its extra little Wi-Fi hotspot out to the woods, and I'll download the latest Disney. All the latest.
Hunk? Are there woods on Mars?
Well,
Do we have woods? Maybe.
All I already endowed there being at least a woodsy area that we planted because we have an orchard for apples. And
okay, you're right.
And, no,
my bad. I retract my hunk.
You endowed it because
we're growing ground apples, Martian ground apple. No, okay, so there's an orchard.
So I'll take my little tablet out to the orchard, and I might or might not download Disney movies illegally. Just what you got to do when you're bored on Mars. Like what else can you do when you pay Disney's Martian royalties for their movies, which aren't even that good anymore because all the good people left. Anyway,
they're all just CGI now.
Yeah, I mean, right?
Like all of them are CGI.
And they're all they're like Romeo and Juliet, but less funny.
They started doing CGI remakes of the CGI remakes and CGI originals. It's like, why?
Yeah, it's bad. It's the same vomit right all over again. But I don't want to. But you gotta see it, but you don't want to pay for it because it's gonna be the same tribe. So I'm out there in the woods. It's dark out because you don't go during the day. You go during the night when you get better signal. And I just know what it is. I hear rustling in the trees above me, and I'm like, oh God. And I look up, and it's, sure enough, it's the goose being quiet for once, which is kind of weird for the goose. Normally it's all up in your face. But this time
seems to sneak up on you a lot.
I mean,
it snuck up on you in the soybean fields. Like, unless you want me to test your hearing, like, I've got a gizmo.
As much as I snuck up on it, I'm not sure where it sleeps. It may have been sleeping. It was night in an orchard. But it's up there. It's up there, and it's
Velocigooster.
It's watching me, and it's like when you're doing something bad, but no one's watching you, so you're like, nobody knows. I'll get away with it. It's fine. But no, this goose is watching me, and I'm trying to download these movies, and the goose is watching me. And I can feel its beady little eyes judging me on my choices in movies because I'm downloading Sharknado 43 and the 174th Lion King remake. It's just addiction at this point. They can't stop remaking it with more and more CGI. It just keeps getting less and less good every time they do. At this point, it's basically a lion puppet. It's bad, but you just keep watching it. It's Disney. You gotta watch it. And I can just feel it judging me for downloading this, but also for downloading specifically this. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It's like trying to pee while someone's watching. I just couldn't do it. So I shut my computer down for the night, left my torrents half undone. I didn't seed any because I know it's rude. You're supposed to seed when you torrent something, but I just couldn't do it. Not tonight. So I shut it all down. And I went back to bed. It was like when you go and you're supposed to have the best time ever, it's like a soup that smells wonderful and then tastes like nothing. It's such a letdown. Disappointing night. If there's torrenting blue balls, that was it.
Hashtag nerd problems. Maybe the goose is a manifestation of our own moral failings.
Thanks, Goose. So, there you have it. 6 stories of horrible goose interaction in the colony on Mars. Are you going to move to our colony with us, or will you stay the hell back on Earth and away from this goose?
I kind of want to do another round. Like, did someone on the internet make more prompts?
I mean, there are 12 prompts. We can do the prompts again. I mean, all I'm doing is rolling a d12.
I want to do another round.
Let's make Arcane. Arcane, since you're the only one in chat, would you like to hear another round of horrible goose stories?
Yeah, if you're in chat, like, feel free to chime in. Actually, does chat want to come up with any story prompts? Because I mean, we've been remarkably consistent and not really had any actual honkings, except for the one. And then I was like, oh nope, I was wrong. Honk redacted. So it says there's 3 people watching us. And for once, I am not one of them. Though I did log in at the beginning because we still have to manually change this from talk show back to tabletop game. Oh, he's on the PS4. Okay. Chat, please talk to us. Martian goose stories. The geese of Mars. Another round.
Okay. All right.
For our one fan.
Yeah, I think the 3 people in chat are literally me, Merc, and Arcane.
Screw it, then I'm logging in too, damn it.
All right, Arcane says another round. So, Miss Priscilla, your prompt is number 7.
Hold on, I'm gonna log in on my Civi Twitch account because I'm damn it. We're gonna do this tonight. We're gonna get Senpai to notice us. And then we can do fun chat buy-ins for the one person that watches us.
I mean, the prompt Chris rolled is it watched her commit a crime, so you know. But if you got one, share it. We'll do them. Check with it.
Another swear, because I'm also watching us.
Alrighty.
Let me double check that we have the right tag. Yep, yay, we're tagged correctly. Joven sheepdog horror stories.
The prompts have to be about the goose. This is the goose of Grilner Grove. So, like, Jupiter sheepdog horror stories are not. We're not on Jupiter. We're on Mars. So, whatever it is, it's about Martians. So the way the game works is that there are 4 truths that we agreed on at the beginning of the story. The first truth is that we're a small colony on Mars. The inside is very Earth-like because we're in a dome, and the outside of the dome is not very Earth-like. It's very dry and very dusty, but it is breathable, specifically for the reason of chasing people out of town. So, the second truth we agreed on is who we are. I'm Willow Smith. Miss Chrysilla is
Lillian Jones.
Lillian Jones, and Ashil Drakis is Ollie. I'm an agricultural engineer, which is the glorified farmer. Chrysilla is a theoretical scientist with emphasis on theory over practicality, and Ollie is in training to take over the bureaucracy.
And that's a communication specialist.
That's the second truth. The third truth is that the goose is not supernatural. It doesn't speak, but it can remember. So we'll remember what things you say. And the fourth truth is that the goose does not die in this game. At no point does the goose die. So if at any point we violate any of the 4 truths, the other players and you, chat, are supposed to honk at us. And you keep honking at us until we either pass the turn or recant the part of the story that made you honk in the first place. And the whole genesis for this is that a villager is thinking about coming to our town, and we are trying to warn them away because of the horrible goose that's been plaguing us for the last 20 years. So,
being a Mars colony, we have no idea how the goose got here or if it's a native, but we would need to prove if it's native, and none of us want to find more geese. So
It's a terror.
yeah, so
It is a terror upon our town.
yes.
no one will own up to having brought a goose with them, or it could have been just a stowaway to begin with. We don't know.
Yep.
So what? Just one little goose egg in one of the grain containers that hatched into a terrible monstrosity once we got here, and has been harassing us ever since. Can I get a different story prop than one we've done before?
Arcane just put one in chat. What the goose did in the Martian cheese cave.
Okay, so okay, so like we've said, the atmosphere outside is technically breathable, but it's kind of awful and cold out there, so you don't really want to be out there without an environmental suit. We go out there if we have to take samples, to check, do repairs on the outside of the dome. But we're many of us are actual scientists, and and some of us are more practical, skilled laborers, and everyone wants to try and make the most out of what Mars has to give us, aside from geese evil. Not Frank, Devin, of course, Devin, we do have some livestock. It's just we can't find in any of the manifests who brought the goose. But there are some cows. There are some ducks. The ducks are like almost as frightened of the goose as we are. I think the goose has a truce with the ducks. So Frank has his dog. We have a couple other, So someone thought, okay, let's try and see what the quality of the Martian caves can do for cheese production, because this is such a arcane sage prompt. Because on Earth, the quality of different caves or stone cellars or wooden paneled cellars and places filled with oak barrels full of whiskey, but also cheese or something. I don't.
It takes cheese time to age.
Yeah. So I wanted to see, would the cheese be good? Would it be bad? Would it be interesting? And so they were, they use their own milk rations, and they are more a soil bacterial specialist, so they had strains of bacteria to use. But yeah, so Devin had wanted to go. So and the cave is a few clicks away from the dome, so not impossible. Like it takes a little bit to get over there. It's easier if you have a transport vehicle. But Devin broke his leg. Maybe after tripping over a goose trap. Now that he knows how to use simple tools. So I'm like, I can go check. He asked me, like, can you go check on the cheese for me? And I'm like, I don't really know what to look for, but I could take readings and bring them back to you and bring back one of the cheeses. And Devin's like, that's good enough. And then, so, I put on my suit. I go out there. I check for geese. There were no geese, and although on the other, I've been trying to get it out one of the airlocks for a while now, but just,
you and me both.
Yeah. I tried doing the thing where I'm in the control tower and opening gates to get it to go in a direction, but then we get to the airlock and it just fucks off. But yeah, so I put on my suit and I'm like, oh, peace and quiet on the Martian deserted cave, rocky landscape. And I saw no tracks aside from human. And I get to this sandy red cave. And inside, so it one of the like cheese, I guess, wheels, or I guess it's supposed to harden into a wheel, but he kind of left these like molten bunches of cheese, like shapes of cheese. He showed me the pictures in like the wooden like cheese wheel thingies. Well, some of them are wood, some of them are plastic, because we use what we got, and everything's very carefully rationed. So instead of hardening like a cheese, it had somehow congealed. And what do I see there, kind of staring at it, but the goose? And I'm like, how did it even get out of the dome? Like, how? There are only teeny tiny, like there's the airlocks. There are no wind. Like we have no reason. Like it's a completely hermetically sealed thing. We can open the doors when we need to, but like how? He doesn't have a key card. I'm not sure that Goose have eye retinas.
Bold of you to assume he needs. Bold of you, he doesn't have a key card, considering his penchant for stealing small shit.
Okay, yeah, he probably does have a key card. He didn't have it on him though, so I don't know where he's hiding it. Like, geese do not wear trench coats, therefore they are not free to experiment with trench coat physics of hiding shit. Like, so I see this like mass glutinous cheesy thing that it looks like something out of the abyss, and it's just like, and it's almost like the duck is staring at the cheese creature. And like I started just recording it on my phone, because otherwise no one is gonna fucking believe me. And I started immediately live streaming it and sent Devin a link, and I'm like, so do you still want that sample? And he's like, my leg, tangentially, my leg being broken, it's your fault, right? And I'm like, he's like, get me the fucking sample. And I'm like, okay. So I very carefully, I kept a camera on the goose at all times, and I just very like carefully with the sampler, there were some other cheese samples that looked like normal cheeses, and I just sort of take a bit from this one, take a bit from that one. They're all pre-labeled because Devin is very thorough. And oddly enough, like I get to the cheese being, and I just take a little sample, and it doesn't even turn or move. It doesn't attack me. The goose stared at me with its beady eyes. It's just, and I just like very carefully, like didn't flinch, didn't move, didn't run, because you don't run from the goose because it will chase you. And I just very carefully like, bloop, and put it in the little pocket with the other samples, and just started slowly backing away. So
probably the wisest decision.
I don't know if the goose is now experimenting with cheese genetics. I don't know if there is some kind of advanced bacteria in Martian caves that will turn cheese into an aware entity or new animal life. I don't know. That's Devin can figure that out. All I know is I'm not going back to that cave, and I am very concerned that the goose might be growing allies. I mean, there's no other goose, so it can't breed. Or geese. So I'm not even sure if the goose is male or female. I mean, if it's male, it would technically be a gander.
The goose is canonically non-binary.
Okay, it's a non-binary goose. And like none of us could get close enough to check anyway.
Yeah.
And if you're that close, you're dead already. Like
yes.
So like, so I just trudged back, looking over my shoulder to make sure I'm not being attacked from behind by a goose. And I put the video on the community board and was like, Houston, we have a new problem. The next day, the goose was back in the dome. Yeah, it's probably. I mean, geese have retinas, but it's not registered in our retinal scan, so it must be a key card. But like, who gave it a key card? Or no, stole it?
I don't know that gave this. Yeah.
Like
Petty theft.
Yeah, I thought the key cards had like time limits because by that time you have a retina scan anyway. I don't know. I just don't know. I emailed my ornithologist friend again. I'm like, oh, what? But yeah, so Devin has his samples, and I'm never going back to the cheese cave again.
Probably
ever. It is scary. Devin's thrilled. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. We've created cheese monsters on Mars. I'm not doing
it. The next B movie thriller, Cheese Monsters of Mars.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Arcane. Any more prompts, or should we roll on the table again?
Yeah, so we went a spacey direction because for us it's Space Saturday and we want to do spacey stuff, but it could be, a modern village or an 18th century village that this goose is terrorizing. Or a city neighborhood, I'm sure. Like,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Dracus, it gave you a gift.
That's it?
That's it. It gave you a gift.
A village called Mars.
Okay. So one day I was sitting in the computer room, the office area where I do my, I guess, almost an internship, but my logs to send on, what's going on. And usually these things are just like basic, we did this today and used these resources and gained these resources from our farms, and just basic accounting of what's going on in the colony. And it's a dull day. I got left to just finish up on my own, which is kind of cool. They're trusting me to do things by myself now, but yeah, it's not fun. So I'm sitting back, taking a little break, and I hear the door open, which is weird because, people don't come in here. I look over, and it's the goose, just framed in the doorway, just standing there. And he's got this thing in his mouth, and I can't tell what's in the goose's mouth.
It's just a silhouette in the doorway of a goose.
Because they're just a silhouette in the doorway. So I kind of sit back and watch the goose and keep an eye on things going on, because for the number of times I've seen the goose do things outright, I think they more often than not try to go undetected, with key cards going missing, and I think the pie was an outlier. So I feel like as long as I'm looking, this goose isn't going to get up to anything, hopefully. And I'm, of course, getting ready to call my supervisor in case something goes completely awry and I have a goose chaos problem on my hands.
There's a fire contingency manual underneath the desk called Goose Contingency.
Yeah, I'm not qualified to handle the goose contingency plans at the moment.
But a goose can't move if it's under observation. Quantum goose.
That's
quantum goose theory.
That's the hopeful theory, but not always true. And as I'm sitting here, the goose just walks up to me, and it doesn't have the malicious look in its eye that it usually has, and I can see that this thing in its beak is just like a ribbon. I have no idea where this thing came from. Never seen it in my life, and just sets it on my lap, backs up, honks very quietly, and then just turns around and walks out the door.
What kind of ribbon was it?
It was just this little like red bow. I'm curious as to whether or not this goose tied the bow, or if it stole this from somebody else. I asked around, like, hey, did anyone like lose this? But no one seems to recognize it, and we're not a big community here, so
I think is it trying to lull you into a false sense of security?
I suspect it's trying to lull you into a false sense of security.
Yeah, think this is
I'm starting to agree with Lillian. I think it's trying to lull you into a false sense of security.
I think it's moved on from simple and complex tools to mind games.
Like, I'm glad that it didn't pull any bullshit on me that day, but I'm a little nervous about what's coming.
Or it's getting political.
Or maybe currying favor with the person who controls what information gets sent back to Earth. I don't know what the Goose would have to gain from that, but
I mean, contact the Goose Collective.
I mean, when we get enough colonists, we will have then 3 months and then a mayoral election.
Goose
and if it can hack a key card, it can hack the election.
Yeah. Goose for mayor, apparently.
So it gave a gift. I'm not sure whether it was altruistic with intent. I really don't think it was. But at least I didn't have to go to the Goose contingency manual and call my supervisor.
That's the important part.
Yep.
I mean, it's actually a really well organized flow chart, but like it gets scary.
The deeper you go, the scarier it gets.
Like there's so much that has happened that people just aren't talking about.
But there are contingencies for it. So it must have happened to somebody. All right, Arcane. For the last story of this round in this game, I will accept your prompt. Lay it on me. Okay.
Let's go, Merc.
All right. So, on Mars, we're pretty far removed from all the shit on Earth, but not far enough removed that we're untouched by it. So, like, whenever shit goes down on Earth, we feel the echoes here. It's not entirely free of it, but we're not at the forefront of it usually, and vice versa. People on Earth don't usually, if they hear the news from Mars, they're like, oh, it's on Mars, doesn't affect me. Well, unfortunately, so in a little place called Hell, Michigan, they elected a dog mayor, and it was a very cute dog. Unfortunately, we also elect our mayor here. Once every 3 years or so, we'll have another election, and whoever wants to put their name in can put their name in. There's an age limit. Both upper and lower. You can't serve if you're 98 years old. You can't serve if you're less than 27.
You have to have been a colonist here for a certain.
If you're younger than the Goose, you aren't allowed.
Well, that's the thing.
I don't know how old it is. How old is the Goose?
It's been terrorizing us for 20 years.
Yeah. So the actual cutoff.
Goose has always been here.
Earliest you can be mayor is 20. Latest you can be mayor is like 65. If you're 70 years old, you can't be mayor. If you're 18 years old, you can't be mayor. Unfortunately, the Goose, some wise apple, realized that the Goose has in fact been here for 20 years, which makes it at least 20 years old. So naturally, when the time came a couple years ago for us to elect a new mayor, Guess whose name was on the ballot?
What was the name again? Like,
Goose.
what name? Just
That was it. It's Goose.
Goose.
There's a goose with a picture of a goose beside it. And people are like, it's like everybody hated that, you know? I mean, it was some
the only goose of all of Mars
yeah.
that we are aware of.
I don't know who put the name of the goose on the ballot, but the name of the goose was on the ballot. I don't think he received any votes, but like they had to get all the mayoral candidates up on the stage to make speeches before everybody cast their vote, and it had to be everybody who was on the ballot.
How did they get the goat on? How did they get the goose onto the stage?
That's the thing, though. They spent the ceremony was delayed for 3 hours while they chased this thing all over hell and sundry, trying to get it on the damn stage because they couldn't hold the speeches without all the candidates there, and they couldn't hold the election without the speeches. So it was me, and it was Frank, and it was not Debney broken his leg again, but
the other leg.
The other leg, unfortunately. Yeah,
that one wasn't on me, though.
Yeah, that was not on you. That one was on Frank's dog, actually, which is why Frank was helping me chase the goose down. You took over Frank's dog because the dog saw
something. Would not help.
Dog did not help. Dog hid under the stage the entire time, except when we finally got the goose up there. The dog ran out from under the stage, and I think it went and hit under Frank's bed, but Frank refused to confirm. So we finally get the goose up on stage, and so we're like, okay, let's put the goose up for the speech first. We put the goose in front of the microphone, and the goose stole the microphone. Like, sitting on the stool in front of the microphone, put a stool up for it because we couldn't lower the microphone far enough for it to, get to it. And it looked out over the crowd, and I reached out and grabbed the microphone because the microphone was wireless and ran off with the microphone.
Wait, was that the first speech of the night?
That was the first speech of the night because we figured we didn't have to chase down the stupid thing again if we got the speech out of the way first. But it stole the microphone. We had to chase it down.
I think that's the one where I was in the security booth, like opening and closing doors to try and get it in. Like we were in that inner compound that we use as rec area and, in case of emergency, and also, the theater stage area. Mm-hmm. So I was basically just opening and locking and unlocking doors and trying to herd it technologically and
Yes, that was
I was chronicling the whole thing.
Yep. So the goose ran with the microphone. We couldn't catch the goose again. I don't know how the hell it got away from us, but we couldn't find it anywhere. So we basically got somebody donated a couple of their letters. We just kind of rolled it up into like a paper megaphone, and we used that for the rest of the speeches, and it worked out okay-ish. And we ended up electing what's her face? Jasmine. That's her name, Jasmine.
Yeah, and then I proposed to Jasmine her that we have a goose. An anti-goose response team with Black Ops training, because after that I'm like, look, we can't keep doing this.
Yeah, I believe the council voted that down because we couldn't afford people with Black Ops training, and none of us had any.
Yeah, we're not a military outpost.
We're a food production.
Unless Earth finds out about this goose and decides to weaponize it, which we will all strongly protest, but if the company or the government or what have you gets wind of it, it's no.
I mean, they'd have to catch the damn thing first.
Yeah, that's you want it, you want to clone him, you catch him.
Yeah.
We have work to do.
And you take him away from here.
That's what I was thinking. What if it isn't just one goose, but we only see them one at a time?
I don't like the way you think. Go away.
Okay. I don't like where this is going either. I will have to email my ornithologist friend again. I really want to run this into the space game as an actual colony. We found 8,000-year-old documents of the first colony of Mars. What's the goose?
Goose.
Flag of the Martian Liberation Front features an angry goose.
Okay, well.
Make Mars honk again!
Okay. Arcane the Sage, as the only person in chat who's not actually playing that we know of. Did our stories scare away the villager? Or will the villager move here anyway, in spite of the warnings of the horrible goose? It's up to you.
I think Arcane personally would love to develop a Wile E. Coyote type relationship with this kind of NPC, but
Me, me.
me. Imagine how many militaristic advancements we make by accident just trying to deal with this fucking goose.
Why do you have point defense lasers on an agricultural colony in Mars? Goose!
Goose.
The point defense lasers have not yet successfully cooked the goose.
Going into the Aliens franchise, someone stumbles into a cave where it's just all of these small oblong eggs.
Uh-huh.
And we're just like, oh no.
More geese!
More! There's more! Nuke it from orbit! Help us!
That's good.
The villager is now asking
so
for a pamphlet on the Goose's political platform. The Goose's political platform. What was Goose? Merc? Or sorry, Willow. What was technically the Goose's platform?
Honk!
Make Mars. Make the Mars colony hiss again.
I do not like the Cobra chicken. Make Mars honk again. It's gonna be a meme now.
Now I need to research whether geese were sacred to the god Mars.
I don't think geese have ever been sacred.
I've never heard that one.
What, make Mars honk again?
No, geese being sacred to any god, let alone Mars.
Yeah.
As a person who has spent all day translating a story about Mars.
Well, swans are Zeus.
I mean, didn't he fuck someone's mother as a goose?
Yeah. Well, no, he was a swan. That's where Helen of Troy comes from, and she was born out of an egg.
Right, right.
Yeah. Oh, Zeus.
The worst.
The worst.
Okay.
The geese probably decided we are sacred to Mars, and Mars was gonna say something and then thought better of it. And it's like, you know what? No. That's okay. You be fluffy and loud, and I'm just gonna be over here.
Oh no.
How holy geese saved the Republic in 390 BCE during the first sack of Rome!
How have I never heard of this?
See, that's the thing about good sci-fi is it's timeless, and you can easily recycle mythological and historical tropes into sci-fi, and it's amazing. Oh, holy geese! Oh my god!
Okay, so the geese are sacred to Juno, which surprises nobody.
Of course.
And apparently what they did was they heard people coming up the cliffs, the gulls.
Oh, the gulls.
Coming up the cliffs, and they started honking and woke people up. And people were like, oh shit, there are people coming up the cliffs. And they started, playing whack-a-mole with the gulls on the cliffs. And that was basically how that happened.
I'm going to have to read all of that later. That's the exact kind of historical, story bullshit that I'm here for.
Next time you should be a tribe of Vikings with a goose.
Totally.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we did finish this round, so the game's over.
So, Arcane, did we convince you not to move to Mars
with Horrible Goose?
I think the villagers moving to Mars with the interest in supporting the Goose's political career.
Goose. Also, Arcane the Sage. Basically, so Arcane the Sage is someone I know in real life. And if you've ever seen in World of Darkness, a flaw called no, I'm not going to call it. Sounds too suggestive. Basically, Arcane the Sage could cook anything, including local urban wildlife. So squirrels steer clear of them. So Arcane the Sage versus Goose equals dinner. This Goose in particular, I'm not sure which one of them would be dinner. The NPC Goose, but a real goose, like Arcane could totally take a real goose.
Fair.
Yeah, so Arcane the Sage is moving to Mars with the evil goose.
Okay.
Okay.
We tried to warn you.
We tried. Help us!
Save us from this evil curse. It's gonna get bad. It's gonna get worse.
We're geese. We're geese in space.
Winkum dinkum, Nodimus Rex. Save us from the man with the hex. All right. Do you want to play another game or?
Yeah, I could do this some more. We'll bring gooseberries.
Okay, so we're starting a new game. Let's decide where we are. Are we
medieval Vikings?
Viking
Are we
town.
medieval Vikings? We could be.
Are we a Viking town?
We're Viking
Viking town?
So we were in space and now we're Vikings, completing the circuit of space Vikings and exit to Eden. So I could have used the overlay. Oh well. Yeah, I made an okay first try overlay, but since it was game specific and we're not playing that campaign today, I'm like, oh well, we'll play with it next week. But it gives me a wonderful excuse to not try to learn how Streamlabs works today. So we just gonna do this.
Okay.
Anyway, Ice Pirate Splash.
Okay. So we're in a Viking village, okay? And where is this Viking village located? Are we in
Denmark.
village? Are we in the middle of nowhere? Are we on a beach? Are we in a swamp? Are we,
We're near the coast in Denmark.
Okay, we're near the coast in Denmark. I don't think there were any Vikings there. So we're near the coast in Denmark. It's a nice area. We have the coast near us, so there's a beach, but there's also kind of a swampy area where the ocean backs up a little bit into the nearby river, so there's a silty kind of swampy area there. A little bit of peat bog going on, maybe. And then there's a nice clear stream that leads up to a pond nearby, and that's what runs down to the ocean from that pond, and leads to that swampy area. So we okay. And then who are we? I'm going to refresh my notes.
I need new notes.
Yep.
I want to be Aldrif, the local witch woman.
Spell Aldrif.
Aldrif.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that's enough. Priscilla, you ready, or should I go?
I'm good. I'll be Hilda, so it's original. Hilda the Weaver.
Okay.
Okay.
I would be. Okay.
So we played that first round for like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fun game.
I will be Bjolfur Torvaldsson, and I'll be a shipwright, a sailor.
What was the name again?
I will put it in chat. Put it in private chat. name generator, and I will be a sailor.
I have entirely too many Viking names in my head. I'm impressed with myself for being able to grab one and actually like vocalize it easily enough. This is what you get when you've been researching Vikings and writing a story set loosely in their world for 4 years.
I mean, meanwhile, I've been playing Skyrim every day for the past couple of weeks.
Mood!
Are there geese in Skyrim?
I actually got a mod that did add geese in Skyrim, so it's not they're not there in the vanilla version, but my version does have them.
Are they just like in the background, or are they like the goose?
They're just in the background. They're modified farm animals. Sure, start us off, Arcane.
Oh no.
What was wrong with the Bear Guild? I nominate.
I don't know what it is. So
I can go first because I know what a weregild is.
I nominate Drakus to take that one. Drakus knows what weregild is.
Well, allow me to begin with a weregild is a price paid for murdering somebody's family member. You can either start a blood feud or pay a weregild. Either one is legally fine to apologize. So, yeah, that's why I'm laughing on this, because the implication with weregild being wrong is that the blood feud happened.
that blood feud was started by the goose. Yeah.
The goose does not accept your payment, and the goose starts blood feud.
Okay. So, I'm the local witch woman, so I live and work in our leader's house, the Jarl's house. So I'm around for a lot of the, like, local scandals, and we don't have a ton of them. We're a small farming community. People live pretty far away from each other around here. But, a few years back, there was a squabble with some of the farmers over where their fields were supposed to begin and end. And it came to a fight, and they weren't able to work it out during the formal time to do that. And, Viking names. Sorry. I was trying to come up with one and it fled. Go Ognir. Ognir killed his neighbor, and the neighbor's family came and demanded payment, and his son was like pretty pissed about it, as you would be if your father had just been murdered over the borders of your farm fields. And Ognir said, "Listen, I'll pay the weregild." So they agreed to a time and a place to exchange that money. And a few days later, I just heard that the son had gone after Ognir and did a little asking around. Heard that the weregild got stolen from Ognir by a goose before he was able to meet up with the son. Just walked into his house one night and grabbed the money right off the table, walked right out. No one was quite, awake enough to do anything, and they were like, groggy and watching and a little confused about what they were seeing, because where did this goose come from? I've never seen this goose around personally. But the story is...
So this is a brand new goose? Like, it's not, it doesn't belong to...
Okay, sorry.
Honk.
Honk. You got it.
Wait.
Yeah. So, I didn't personally see this instance of the goose. I've seen the goose around. Definitely know that it gets up to some shit. But yeah, stealing a weregild is a new one, and now we have a blood feud on our hands.
Does anyone know where it took the gold?
We haven't been able to find it. I've had a few people around town actively looking, but if that goose doesn't want to be found. And here's the worst part. My divinations don't turn it up.
Oh no.
I can ask the gods for help all I want, and they aren't able or aren't willing to tell me anything.
Is it?
Don't want anything to do with this goose.
Is it possible it's some other creature in disguise as a goose?
I'm beginning to believe that's what it is.
Demon disguised as a goose.
Oh wait, but it can't be supernatural.
That doesn't mean we can't think it's supernatural.
I honked myself. I played myself.
You played yourself.
Honk myself.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and roll a prompt for me. Let's see. So that's 11. 7, 8. I saw it conversing with a crow.
Amazing.
Perfect.
So, oh god. I think it's okay. So I am not in town much. I am mostly a sailor, and I'm fucking this accent up. Fuck it. Let me guess. Someone stole your sweet roll. No. Can't do it. Can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm screwing it up. So, sorry. I would do an accent, but I can't, apparently. So, I'm not at home much. I don't see the goose very often, but whenever I am home, I always see it at least once. Usually it leaves me alone. Possibly because we got in a fist fight once. I'm not sure who won, but we did get in a fight once. But that's not important to the story. What is important is that I saw it one day, alone in the fields, by a fence, and there was no one else around, and I don't know if anybody would believe me if I told them, but I would swear that this goose was talking to a crow, but not just any crow, a really big black crow. I don't know that it was really of this world. Perhaps this goose was talking to Munin or Hugin, depending on, what it was trying to accomplish. But it was talking to one of them. It was too big to be a real natural crow. And it talked, and they spoke and conversed, and then the crow flew away, and the goose turned and looked at me. And the goose didn't say anything, but I could feel in my soul that if I told anybody about what I'd seen, they would not believe me. And you know what? The goose was fucking right. So it was a cold day in November. I don't know.
Was it making noise? Were they making noises at each other? Were they like speaking in human tongues? Like,
I wasn't close enough to hear. I heard noises, but I couldn't make out any words. So I couldn't tell you whether they were or not. I wasn't that close, but I could see them talking to each other. And like there was noise, and maybe there were words in the noise, but I couldn't quite make them out.
And I take it the really big black crow is one we've seen around here.
I mean, I'd never seen it before. But the goose was very familiar. Bastard.
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 It's a very good story. Oh well.
That's fine.
Who wants Miss Priscilla? Do you want a prompt? Or do you want to ask Arcane for one?
Yeah, give me a prompt.
Alrighty. 12. It chased me out of town.
This will go differently than last time.
So you know, I was just, you know, in town for a market day. I'd brought plenty of my fabric wares with me. You know, I had my stall set up.
Good strong socks, that one.
Yeah, I had some socks. I had yarn for people to make their own socks. It was all, you know, very nice. You know, nice, neat display. You know, a whole season's worth of work. You know, it was the first market in spring. Like you know, we'd all been home in our homes working all winter, and you know, it was turning out to be a good day. But because of a new structure being built, I had to be. My stall was actually like right in front of one of the animal troughs, which for most of the day wasn't a problem. Like there was another one that horses could use, and they were. Do Vikings have horses? Fuck, if they do.
They did.
Sure, if they didn't, they stole them
They got
or borrowed them or bought them. No, bought them because Vikings were traders. So yeah, there was one further at the edge of town for the horses to use, but not some dogs, a cat, some ducks.
Probably several cats.
There's several. I like cats though, and you know
They were a staple of every Viking household.
So yeah, plenty of little animals come by to hang out at the trough, and they were all very nice little critters. And then this thing, this big pale as a sliver of creepy moonlight. Eyes black like sunken pits, and just this hiss that just makes your hair stand on end as you just feel like the earth itself is just falling out from under you. And it wouldn't go around. It sat in front of my table and just stared at me with those dark sunken eyes and hissed at me. And you know, it's, you know, it's only about 3 feet tall, or it's about 2 feet tall. I don't know. It's a Viking goose. And it was flapping and it was making noise. And I'm like, look, I have a nice sturdy wooden table I'm using, and no, I'm not moving. Just go around the table. Like this is not an epic quest to get from the road to the trough. Just go around the table. You know, like, and he just stared and hissed and honked. And I, you know, I'm looking around, and maybe one of the local constables or one of the other craftsmen or guildsmen are just like, could someone help me with this? Like, whose goose is this? Where does it come? Whose is it? Where does it come from? Where did it learn these manners? And people are giving me a wide berth. What?
Where did it come from? Where did it go? Where did it come from? Goose.
Goose. Full stop. And I'm looking to other townspeople for help, thinking, oh, well, someone must have gotten a new goose this spring. But no, they're all giving me a wide berth. They're just like not coming anywhere near me. People who had been looking at my wares are like, oh, we'll be back in a bit. It just like, what is going on? And then it then started flapping, and with such force that it knocked the table over onto me. And I scurried out of the way and just started running. And instead of going for the trough now that my table had been destroyed, it just started chasing me, flapping its wings, like not quite flying, just more like buffeting. And I just ran. And no one the surprising thing when I look back on it is no one was laughing at me. No one thought this was fun. This creature is a terror. Like, everyone in a strange way commiserated with me because I was definitely not its first victim.
But they were also not willing to stop you because
They're
you
also
were
not
not the victim.
So luckily one of the other guildsmen collected up my wares so they weren't stolen, but it's just like, what the hell was that? What in the hells was that? That bastard.
The bastard. Goose.
Bastard. Evil Goose.
An evil goose.
Evil Goose
Don't
hates fiber arts.
No,
not
just
making
chose to hate you that day.
Yes, you were the chosen sacrifice. Okay, Dracus, you ready?
Sure.
So that's a 7, pretty sure. Yes, 7. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It watched me commit a crime. Fess up.
I need a moment to think.
That's fine.
I
I still. Let me guess. Someone stole your sweet roll. That fur growing out of your ears. I don't know if I can do this. It sounds kind of bad when I keep it up, but that's
it's because it just sounds bad in the game to begin with.
Is this more Skyrim stuff?
Yeah.
I was an adventurer once, and then I took a boot to the knee.
Arcane, put them in the chat. We'll start doing them. Heck.
Yeah, give prompts. We'll use them.
Because we're too good at being internally consistent with our stories, so you have nothing to honk at.
Yeah, I mean.
So give us other ideas, like prompt. Yeah, my first thought was if we're a Viking village, this might be Loki's goose.
Oh God, the raid that brought back the goose. Probably my prompt. Well, the prompts will have to be stories about our encounters with the goose.
The goose specifically.
Yeah, specifically, this game is about interacting with the goose and warning people about our interactions with the goose. So,
presumably, some new Viking wants to join our village, and we're like, no, our village is cursed.
With goose.
Cursed. It's a terror that flaps in the night, and the day, and the morning, and the afternoon, and tea time.
Okay.
All our goosebumps.
I have my story.
All right.
Of the bones of the story. So, I'm loath to admit to this, but several years ago now, I went out to dig up the grave of the previous witch woman. I had my reasons, but it's still very much frowned upon, if not illegal, and I can't explain what I needed, but she was buried with something that I needed, and I'm not proud of it. But that night, it was getting colder, and I was pretty bundled up. Went out with my shovel, hoped the ground would be soft enough to do this quickly and not leave too much of a trace. So I started, pulling up the grass as well as I could so that I could put it back, and it gets well into the night. I've gotten into the grave where I need to be, and I just hear the flapping sound of the feet on the ground walking up behind me. And I know it's not a person because it doesn't sound like a human being, but I know before I turn around that it's the goose. And it's just standing there watching me as I'm doing this very frowned upon, probably very illegal thing. And so I turn around slowly to kind of see if I can gauge what it's here to do. And it's just it's just standing there and watching me. And this thing, it looks like a ghost in the night. Some Draugr. It's got the moonlight's reflecting off its eyes, and you can just feel the malicious vibes, but it's not it's not actually acting against me. It's almost like it's enjoying the fact that I am taking part in a crime like it likes to. I slowly go back to what I was doing.
You vibed with the goose.
And it doesn't stop me. It doesn't make a sound, but I know that if it does decide to honk, it will wake someone up and I will be caught. And I'm just hoping beyond hope that it chooses to acknowledge my crime and not give me away. That there might be some honor amongst thieves. Even if I'm not usually one. And it was the most nerve-wracking night. To this day, I don't think that anybody noticed that I dug up the grave.
What if the goose blessed you with its demonic blessings of bless?
I am slightly fearful of such a thing, but I can't quite tell.
So you paused a moment to goose read. Don't you usually read the insides of a goose?
You know, usually, but I would never try to lay a hand on that goose.
That goose might be the beast of Ragnarok itself. We got it wrong. It's not
it
a
very well maybe.
The saw couldn't get him. The saw couldn't get him.
It just watched me as I committed this crime.
What did you take from the previous witch woman?
Her rune stones.
That's the kind of shit that gets you cursed.
I know. And
which makes it all the more scary that the goose did nothing about it.
I know. I'm afraid that I have enacted a worse curse upon myself by having seen the goose. Some sort of omen that I don't know how to read.
This wasn't your first interaction with the goose, though, was it? So
it was my first direct interaction.
Okay. But this isn't what brought the goose to us.
No.
Okay.
Certainly not.
Because I don't know what we would do to that person.
Yeah.
No, the goose had been around long enough that I knew not to mess with it when it did eventually come and stare at me.
Its silence is even more unnerving than its hissing and honking times. As it stares directly into your soul.
Niels is the demon light with its eye of coal. Sauron knows your license plate and stares into your soul. Have you seen that one? Oh, it's the caption appended to a picture of a stoplight that caught fire somehow.
Oh yeah, yeah, I have seen that one. It's just been a minute. It occasionally pops up on Instagram, and I'm like, there it is.
I'll try and find it for you later. Okay, so I guess it's my turn now. I'll take one of Arcane's prompts. So they just had to raid, and they brought back the goose. And I know who it was. It was Torvald. He's not allowed to do his ship anymore, but
damn it, Torvald!
Aye. So we were raiding the coastline down in England, and trying again. We were raiding the coastline down in England, and we found many animals, and we found much grain. It was good. We filled the hold from. No, it's not working. It's not working. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So we were down in England, and we found this particularly luxurious village. It was a very nice, quiet-looking hamlet. When we descended upon it, they surrendered, so we didn't have to set fire to too many of the houses, and we managed to fill our holds with grain and with the livestock from the place, and it was a fairly equitable transaction all around. But Torvald would not let the goose go. He decided that he loved this goose and that he was going to take care of it, and so he decided to take it with him. Gods alone only knows why this goose decided to go with him and not savage him to death. But over the course of the voyage back, the goose stayed in his cabin. At least I'm pretty sure it did. We did have a few things go missing, but there wasn't that much on board ship to actually go missing. So when we finally got back to the village, Torvald brings this goose down, and as soon as he sets it down, the thing is off. And it brings him back an apple. But it was a dried apple. It was not bad, but the hell did this thing find an apple? So I don't know what possessed Torvald. I'm pretty sure it was the spirit of Loki bringing himself back in a good vessel to bring chaos upon our village. But it's Torvald who decided to, grab the goose in the first place from some sleepy English village down south. And now we've had to deal with it ever since.
Oh, it's an English goose. That all makes sense now.
Explains everything.
Damn it, Torvald. Why couldn't you pick up a nice Irish goose?
Anyway, Torvald was drowned in the next storm, so I guess he got his comeuppance from the gods. But now we've had to deal with it ever since.
He had served his dark purpose in bringing this terror to our village from England.
Goddamn English goose. Goddamn Torvald. So I had to bring the English goose back with it to us and curse our village forevermore with a goose.
Oh, wait, so the goose went to England and then came back?
No.
No, okay.
Came back from England.
This was the first historical...
To raid, and we raided a sleepy town off the coast of Wales. And in the town,
it's a Welsh goose.
We brought back livestock, including this goose. But Torvald was very insistently bring this goose. I'm pretty sure, he was possessed by the spirit of Loki to bring back this goose. But he drowned the next time we went out, so you guys I'm not sure. He went overboard during a storm. We never found him. I'm not sure if he drowned.
He's probably dead.
If he went overboard naturally, or if he was pushed. But Torvald is no longer part of our village.
Well, was the goose on the ship? Oh, no, you mean pushed by someone else.
That's the next time. So someone else might have pushed him for bringing the goose.
Damn it, Torvald.
Damn it, Torvald.
Yes, he had already provided his entertainment to the gods by bringing us this terror.
Cursed the whole village with it.
Cursed the whole village. When will the men learn? when will some people learn?
So.
Okay, I have a brief story that's unrelated to the game, but Arcane's last prompt reminded me, and I must share because it's great.
Okay, do it.
Okay, so are you guys aware of the blood of Fafnir?
No.
I don't remember. It's ringing a bell, but I can't tell the notes.
It's from one of two stories. They're kind of the same. As one of the things the same, but Fafnir is a dragon from one of the sagas whose blood grants magical powers to the protagonist, be it Sigurd or Siegfried. I don't know much about Siegfried, but I know Sigurd learned bird speak and got warned by the birds about his mentor figure planning to turn around and backstab him and kill him and take all of Fafnir's gold for himself. So my dad, fenced in college, has joked my whole life about being a dashing swordsman, and I have figured that he must have killed a dragon at some point in his youth, because he and my brother and myself can all chirp like birds. I know bird speak.
Nice. I know what he does. You know.
I cannot do these things. I come from a city.
Yeah. So I must have some of Fafnir's blood, and that's that.
So
He does not have an ash leaf shaped birthmark on his back. That would be a weakness, obviously.
Yeah, like a glowing spot in a boss.
I do know that much about Siegfried. Sigurd does not have that one. That is one of the differences. Anyway,
Or they Latin teacher lose a shit, or the bird speak made you Latin teacher lose a shit.
the bird speak. Because I was in a Norse mythology class that the Latin teacher was also instructing at the time, and we had just talked about it. So I went up to him after class and told him that, and then chirped like a bird. And I'd had this guy as my professor for 3 semesters, and he'd never heard me do that. So,
Now speaking Latin with my sparrow accent.
Yeah.
Changing it up.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry to derail the game, but I needed to share.
That's fine. For the last story, which I believe is you, Chris, I kind of want to hear everything that went wrong at the Yule Feast.
Yeah.
All the problems the Goose caused at the Yule Feast.
Okay, so we are preparing the Yule Feast for 4 weeks, like fattening livestock, and we'd had, I mean, the Goose had been in the village for long enough that someone had the bright idea of, well, what if we prepare that for the feast and make it specifically a sacrifice to the gods, that maybe they will have mercy on our village, because clearly this is no normal animal that we have encountered, like just so fattening livestock, and I was about to, mostly I'm the village weaver, but I do other things as well. I do housecraft and all the things. So we're feeding animals, we're fattening them up, we're slaughtering them, we're bleeding them. And it was, why is it my character again? It was down to me to try and capture the goose.
Oh no.
Oh no. So, and I tried everything. I tried snares, ropes, nets. Eventually, I did have one other, Yarn the Huntsman did try to help actually hunt it down, and he found it one of the most elusive creatures he had ever tried to track. And because sometimes it just doesn't seem to leave footprints, then I'm like, but it flies. So maybe I did not maybe have the best help, but we tried. We tried the box with the string and the twig, and nope, it just took the cherries and ran away. Before we could, we tried to pull it out and pull out the stick, and it just wouldn't budge. Had we set it up wrong? Was the goose magic? I don't know. I wove an amazing, the best net I've ever woven, the best net I've ever thatched, and no, it dodged it, it nipped through it. I think it managed to fall in it at one point overnight, and we came in, there was just this big goose-shaped hole in it. And eventually, we're about 2 weeks out, and it's like, we have to we give up. We need to do this for the community. We need to do this for the gods. So we will just give up on this and find a more complacent beast to slaughter in its place. And that went fine. The goose does not seem overly concerned about the fate of other animals, including other geese. So, we had Goose prepared for the Yule Feast. And there's the day of dancing and partying, and then feasting, and then more dancing, and plenty of drink. The drinking never really begins or ends, just a continuum of drinking.
More intense at some points, but.
And we have the great big bonfires lit on either side of the field, with the table kind of running between them. And it's such great fun in we're a small village, but we know how to celebrate, and we've made it another year of the elements and other tribes and, the goose. And, we wanted to celebrate our good fortune. But no one invited the goose, but the goose showed up anyway. And it was getting on to not quite midnight, but the sun had gone down, and it was the longest night, and we had the fires lit. And suddenly, at the head of the table, in front of the bonfire, we just see this great silhouette of just evil and darkness, and great wings, grander than any fowl I had yet seen. I do not know if it was the cast of the shadow or flames that made it seem bigger. I don't know if the gods themselves were trying to punish us for our hubris. But this figure just did this, and then forwards, and then just flew and swooped through the entire table, pushing everything off and onto people and onto the ground and into the bonfires. They were screaming and crying and torn tablecloths, and it was just such...
Wailing and gnashing of teeth.
So we now admit our hubris, as we are not allowed. The village elders have decreed we are no longer allowed to try and slaughter the goose because we just can't, and it remembers, and then it has its vengeance, and no amount of gold will satisfy its thirst for vengeance. And
also, you don't ever forget to invite Faye. Doesn't matter,
Yes, I guess, we don't usually invite livestock, I guess, so I don't even know where it lives, really. So how do we invite it?
I don't know, but I wouldn't forget to invite it again. I mean,
so if anyone happens to see the goose in the next week before you'll tell it it's supposed to come to the festival as a guest and not as dinner, okay? Just everyone heads up, tell the goose that they're invited, I guess. Cinematic. I love how the goose is getting dramatically silhouetted in both our games. It's like, yep.
Dramatic silhouettes. It's now a staple of our interpretation of Goose.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a look, serve it.
It's a drama goose.
Mm-hmm.
Goose loves drama. If it didn't, we wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
In this situation.
Okay, Arcane. We've done our 6 stories. Is the new Viking villager going to join our goose cursed village, or will they try and find a less cursed place to live?
Or anyone else in chat
I do notice we've gained a few viewers, so if you're lurking, hello, feel free to weigh in.
Yep.
Yep, we are here to be terrorized by a goose for your amusement, and then you decide whether or not you want to move to our cursed home.
Looks like Arcane the Sage is going to move to our town.
Arcane, you have terrible survival skills.
No, that's the thing. He has excellent survival skills.
Oh, I know.
He wants to go toe-to-toe with this beast. The beast.
Oh, now I'm just thinking of What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah. Arcane actually hates that movie.
No!
Yeah, it's just like
masterpiece.
Yeah, I know. I agree. The Goose is Valhalla.
I think you're gonna get the Goose and Valhalla. Because you're gonna go out fighting that thing.
With your gooser on it.
I mean, given that Freya's cat is pulled by Norwegian forest cats, I'm pretty sure that if anybody can contrive to ride a goose, the Norse would be more than happy to let them go into battle with it.
I'm sure.
Honk! Honk!
Goose is word with Germanic roots. So I wonder if they.
Right, because Mother Goose and
Well, it's the goose geese. It has the Germanic pattern, whereas like moose, I believe, is a Native American word, so it doesn't get plural with the double E.
Yeah.
yeah.
I used to have a game where you take any double O word that you can find and make it plural with a double E.
Boot.
It got very entertaining.
Boot pluralizes to beat.
Yes. Occasionally, you just find a new one that you haven't thought of, like, and it just months down the road, and you just start laughing out of nowhere because it just pops into your head.
No, Norse Arcane gave us another link.
I'm checking.
Denmark Roman, the biggest status symbol in the Nordic Iron Age, was a goose. What have we done? I see signs for it. Big poultry was all you needed to signal your status. A goose, alternatively a hen.
I deeply appreciate these links to historical, like, archaeological and mythological geese. I'm here for this. This is the content I crave.
Oh, they were funerary goods. Well, chicken graves contained considerable valuables. It was only the goose graves that contained expensive imported Roman goods. So, so this is a Roman influence upon the Norse, the Norse. Blah. Words.
Yeah, I think when they say like chicken graves and goose graves, I mean graves that contained goose bones as well as people bones, as opposed to the Egyptians who actually just straight up buried cats, and camels.
Well, they buried the mummified. Oh, so the grave goods in the Norse graves, they didn't just bury a goose for dinner in the afterlife. They just buried the bones.
No, they would bury the bones, but then they would also often bury livestock and other goods with the person as a symbol status, perhaps to give them something in the afterlife, but also as sort of like a sacrifice in the eyes of the gods, that this is what they're worth.
Yeah. No, I was just simply saying that it wasn't. The graves were not just for goose or chickens.
Oh yeah, I gathered that.
There was a really interesting documentary about Viking warrior women on Disney Plus that I stumbled on one afternoon, and it looked at a lot of grave goods, and it was really cool, and I think presented some interesting information about potential graves that belonged to women who were probably higher in status or more like masculine in status than we often accept Viking women to have been.
Yeah, I've heard that there's been evidence of the shield maidens, as some call them, but I don't know that they would call themselves that.
Yeah. There are definitely like historical roots to the legends of like the Valkyries. But
cool. All right. Well, I think that's game for tonight.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you're just tuning in, usually we run New World of Darkness in space, but a weird tropical pressure system just wasted all of us spoonies on the East Coast, so some of our players couldn't make it today. And I, in fact, had a migraine until like right before game started. So we decided to do something else, because we can. And also we're like this close to getting affiliate status, at which point we can start using the Channel Points app and then like actually have audience members buy in stuff in game, which is fun. Because we haven't really, like, I'm not really looking to to do money here, but buy-ins are fun. And if it's channel points, then to buy in, you have to watch more of the shows.
But it doesn't cost you any real money.
Doesn't cost you any real money.
Yep.
So, but it sounds like to get affiliate, I'll email just to double check because I'm not great at reading Twitch FAQs, it seems. But I'm not sure if it's that I have to apply or check a box or something, or if Senpai just randomly notices us if our numbers are good enough. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, so usually we run from about 7 Eastern to 10. I guess we're ending a little early.
Not that much, really.
Yeah, not that much. But yeah, so we mostly just do tabletop gaming and now improv gaming, and we might do some Demon Hunters in the future.
We're just here to have a good time.
Yeah. We want to perform and put on something nice for other people to watch. And just, game. And the more I game with new and strange people, the more I appreciate how funny my regular players are. There are some people that seem to assume that snark is automatically funny. And, no.
It needs to be well-timed snark.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. But anyway, so yes, thank you for watching and hanging out with us tonight. Thank you, players, for coming and game this. Merc brought this up, I think, a few weeks ago for another game or another session we had to cancel for lack of numbers. But I've been intrigued about so what happened? What we make up stories about an evil goose? And now I want there to be a space colony in my game that is being terrorized by a just totally mundane goose.
Yep.
Or maybe a hedge goose, because this sounds like changeling bullshit to me.
It really does, doesn't it?
Lost dreaming shenanigans. Oh dear. The goose that came for dinner and then wouldn't leave. But yeah. We're in terror of the goose.
You give a goose a muffin.
Give a goose a muffin, it murders you with a cage.
Yeah.
If you give a goose an apple pie, it slowly takes
gets you
out
on kitchen duty again the next night.
And slowly takes out every colonist one by one.
It invokes cheese monsters on Mars.
Yeah, the Viking one was fun, but the sci-fi one, I think I'm just more in now. I'm just
better.
Sci-fi setting brain. This is definitely
Vikings takes a lot of niche knowledge.
Yeah. But it's nice to know that we know so much about them from archaeological record, because other stuff, other cultures, not so much.
Just thinking about all of the Celtic folklore we have lost.
And how much people are making up themselves and saying it's real, and now I have assholes telling me, no, but ancient poetry in Ogham. And I'm like, no, that's not what Ogham is for. You want to use it for that now? Great, but no. Ogham with road signs.
Anyway, we should be back to our normal game next week, yeah?
Hashtag Ravenclaw problems.
Yes.
Also, planning to be back to our regular game. Same Welsh Bat time, same Welsh Bat channel. And next week, assuming we're now, I think I'm gonna make some alternative overlays and things. So I finally downloaded OBS Streamlabs. I didn't use it tonight because everything was just kind of whatever. We'll just go straight and just see what happens. But yeah, there's an overlay and a save screen. Oh my gods. And they're all both probably very basic, but I'm happy that I remembered how Photoshop works. And I found a nice source of royalty-free photos, and hopefully they're all posted there by the creators of the photos themselves, because I don't know how to research that. But yeah, so we will be back next week, and hopefully fancier. Or, Streamlabs will crash my first outing and everything will just be a flaming train wreck. We're basically on StreamYard because Discord hates me.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so I'm Ms. Chrysala on social media, which is where I post like when we're going live or if we are or not that day or week. So feel free to follow me for more news on this station channel thingy. And yeah, thanks for coming. And Goose Master, who is you?
I'm Merc. I'm on social medias, but I don't do anything with them, so it doesn't matter. If you have time, I highly recommend you watch Masters of the Metaverse on Mondays on the Zombie Orpheus Twitch channel because it's cool.
Yay!
Yep. I also moderate Void Jumpers on Wednesdays, but I don't know that it's quite as cool as Masters of the Metaverse, so, that one's... It's the same Twitch channel, but it's a different group of people, so it's, dealer's choice whether or not you actually want to...
Masters of the Metaverse has been going for like 5 years now, so
2017, 3.
Okay. Oh, it just feels like 5 because
like 5.
In 2020, time is no longer a thing.
Yes.
But yeah,
this is actually the last season of Masters of the Metaverse, so you can season 8's the last one.
Oh,
they're ending it at the end of the season. Yeah, by the end of the year, Masters of the Metaverse will have ended. So, you can watch the last season live and then catch up the rest of it on the YouTube because it's on the Zombie Orpheus live YouTube channel as well. Yeah. And I recommend it. It's a lot of content. It is a lot of content, but it's totally worth it. I like it.
If you need to marathon something, Zoe's got you covered. And they also have movies and TV show episodes and things and web series that are all free to watch on their YouTube.
Yeah. And on their new platform, the Fantasy Network.
Yep. TFN.
I'll put a link to that one in chat.
Okay, and Actual Dracus, who is you?
Hi, I'm Dracus. I'm Actual Dracus on most social media. I'm not sure I really have anything else that's like important to say this week, but yeah.
Yay! All right, yay! Well, thank y'all for playing.
Yep.
Whew. But yeah,
I'm glad we got to do something this evening.
Yay! Because it's game night. I want to game. And I did, ironically, planning to use the Demon Hunters 5 Minutes to Mayhem system, just came up with a story idea without it. So yeah, maybe we'll run Demon Hunters because that's how we 3 met, by running Demon Hunters modules on each other for practice before cons.
Yep.
So and that's a fun fate-based system. But usually we run New World of Darkness or Chronicles of Darkness, but in space, which is a big, crazy, fun setting, and is just fun, urban, sci-fi, fantasy craziness. And next week, I believe we're starting in combat, or we might do a kind of flashback exercise, and then shove you all back into combat. We'll see. We'll see what we feel like.
Yeah,
so yeah, thank y'all for watching, and we'll be back next week, hopefully on Streamlabs if my brain doesn't melt. Woohoo! All right, bye.